So most of my friends are mechanical engineers, and they are the most fun-loving party people I know. And like most of the trips are fun with mechanical engineers. So another struggle that mechanical engineers go through is not a lot of girls in their branch. Any comments on that? With respect to where the industry is going right now with mechanical engineering, there is a whole new tide of electrical vehicles hitting the streets. I mean, AI is taking over and other things, and there is robotics as well. And that's a, they look at it from a threat kind of a perspective. What is your take on it? So another thing about being an immigrant and being an international student is managing your visa issues. How challenging was it for you, and how did you navigate that?
They go for like NITs, IITs, and VJTI. It literally makes no difference. I mean, I have worked with people more hardworking and more passionate about where I was working at Viraj, but they were working at half the salary, and also everybody has really good qualifications. I mean, if you're coming all the way from India to here, you want to have good grades, you want to have good qualifications. You have to do something that you stand out and people remember you. First one, you have to crack the first one. Once you are in the industry, you kind of like make your way up.
One, two, three, four.
Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of the TIP podcast. And after covering a lot of different engineering branches like software engineering, network engineering, hardware engineering, electrical engineering, we are down to mechanical engineering, and we have a very special guest with us, Anish Nabar. Hi, Anish.
Hey,
Thanks for joining us, Anish. Anish is joining us from Greenville, South Carolina, and he is a mechanical engineer, proud mechanical engineer. And he's been since like 2016, I guess. He did his masters and stuff like
yeah,
that. Let's walk through his journey, how he started. So, Anish grew up in Alibag. He went to his engineering college in Mumbai University at VJTI, which is a very reputed university. It's a deemed kind of a
yes,
college,
autonomous, as they call it.
autonomous college, which is pretty prominent, and you need very good grades to get in there. So,
Yeah,
Anish managed to get that, and he did his mechanical engineering from VJTI. Later, he worked at a company called as the Viraj
Viraj Forgings.
Profiles Limited, and he worked there for 11 months, almost a year, as a mechanical maintenance engineer. He later went on to decide to do his master's. So he jumped on the airplane and he came to UNC Charlotte. That's where we met, and he did his master's for 2 years, and that was an interesting journey which we are gonna get into. Later, after graduation, he worked as a mechanical engineer for Bertrand US Limited, and he worked there as an automotive analysis engineer. He started this role at Bertrand and later went on to become a support and product quality engineer.
Mhm.
He then got promoted to lead product and quality engineer in Bertrand, and later he joined another company called as Mingua
Yeah,
USA, which is responsible for engineering changes for seating components in BMW X5, X6, and X7 models. So currently, he's working as a program management consultant at
P3.
P3 USA, which
Yeah.
is fascinating journey, and we are going to talk about all these aspects. So thank you, Anish, for taking your time and joining us. How is it going, man? How is it living in Greenville, South Carolina for so long? Tell me about
Well, it's definitely going good. I mean, I stayed here for 7 years, didn't change the city,
it. Oh,
so
nice.
definitely home. And I like it. I mean, it's so basically started from Greenville, worked at Bertrand, and been moving around different roles. But you kind of make your kind of network in this area. You know all the people know you, companies know you. They kind of like get reference from each other. So once you start in one area, like it's hard to move around.
Hmm.
And lucky for me, I like it. It's
Mhm.
it's a smaller city. It's really growing, so it has everything that I need, and not as crazy as Atlanta or any other big city. So
I mean, it's a small town, but it's nice to explore, and you get to travel a lot of places. So that's
and BMW is here. So once BMW started like 25 years ago, Greenville just picked up. It's like growing, and then all the suppliers for BMW came in, so all the industry is just growing around. So it's a good place for mechanical or especially automotive engineer.
That's really nice. That's really nice. So let's take us back to growing up in Alibag. Like it's a small coastal area near Mumbai, and it's a very beautiful place. If you guys haven't visited Alibag, you should. And it is a very good vacation spot as well. So how was it growing up there? And how was your family like when you were growing up in Alibag?
So, like you say, it's a coastal area. It's kind
Mhm.
of like a vacation place for a lot of people coming from like Mumbai, Pune, and any cities around around Alibag. So they call it like a mini Goa. So it's kind of like a paradise to live in. Like got a lot of good seafood, a lot of friends, a lot of places to play around, and it's been a fun journey. And as a school, I mean, I was always been like kind of like a mischievous, rebellious child. I was smart in studies, so I could do well, but I would just do enough, like as you say in Marathi, पोटापुरता mark मिळायचे, पोटापुरता अभ्यास करायचा, and then you're doing good. But like I said, it's like a small town, and my dad is a doctor, he's a dermatologist, and literally everyone in Alibag knows him. And like how in India, you have this pressure from not family but around, like doctor चे मुलाला किती मिळाले, like how is he
Correct.
doing? So he was looking at you. So you had to kind of maintain those grades and just kind of how you behave around. But
Uh-huh.
it's been fun. A lot of just fun stories and crazy crazy memories from childhood. A lot of friends still in touch with them. I have friends from like since I was 3 years old, still in touch with him. So it was a good place to be.
Oh, that's really nice, man. I mean, having childhood friends still now is a fascinating thing. And especially when you go back, you probably can refresh your memories when you visit the same places back again. Did you feel any challenges with respect to switching from Marathi medium? Because you are a Marathi medium
Yeah.
student, then you had to switch to English. What were the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
So I mean that aspect is always there. Like in India, I mean like speaking English is like it's considered like elite or classy or like smart. So like someone is speaking in English and he's saying like even a dumb thing, you still like, "Arey, काय भारी बोलला." So that was always, and that was the complex I had, like not just junior college. That was I just went by junior college, but mostly like during like in a graduation, like undergrad or going to a job, always had this complex of like fear of speaking English in public. And I know exactly what I want to say. Like I would say, frame the words in my mind, what I want to say exactly in the right English. When I say like the words will not come out of my, and that's a fear. And looking back now, it looks so foolish because when I came to US, I had no other option. Like I would avoid speaking English until my graduation, until my first job in India, and I never needed that because there was someone who could speak Hindi or Marathi or anything else. But when I came to US, there was no option. Like you speak good English, bad English, whatever, just you have to speak in English. And I
Correct.
could see that, and people were impressed by that. I'm like, because for them, I'm like an outsider whose first language is not English, and I'm still speaking like really good English. And like in South, like English is not really, uh, like it's not really technically correct. People
Correct.
say what it's more conversational English in
Yep.
US. So that difference I saw in India versus here. Like here is just a language, and nobody judge you based on your English speaking skills. And actually, some people appreciate you because you can speak a third language
Hmm.
apart from like Hindi and like Marathi and Hindi. So and in other countries like in Germany, they have schooling everything in German, so they are kind of proud of their language as well. So focus on your studies. Like languages, I mean, English is just a language. It's not your measure of your IQ. That's the difference I felt, and I feel whoever is like listening to this, just drop your fear, speak out loudly whatever you think. If it is wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't matter. Like you're still right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the end of the world, right?
It's
So,
just for conversation.
and then when you went on to your doing your junior college, and probably being a son of a doctor, you might have been, told to pursue medical science as a field.
Yeah.
Why did you choose engineering when you?
So I've been told that many years, like you will be going for medical, you'll be doing medicine. Luckily for me, like I never felt that pressure from my family. Like my dad never pushed me for doing medicine. And at school, like you in school, there is this science one, science two subject, and science two was, I think, more of a biology, and
Mm-hmm.
I hated that subject very much. So in junior college, I didn't even take option. Like I took electrical maintenance. Those That was a vocational course, so I skipped biology. So there was not even a chance for me to get into medicine. And probably it's not so much of a hatred, but it's just like I've seen my dad working like crazy hours, and he was a dermatologist, so I see his patients, and that would
Mm-hmm.
not really give me a good feeling. I don't want to do this.
Correct, correct.
And for engineering, like I was always kind of fascinated by like cars, different machineries, or all tangible things. Like as a kid, I would kind of like go take new instrument which comes in home, try to fix it, mostly break it, but always have the right thought to try to see what is the mechanism inside, or try to fix it, and just learn about that. So that I always been fascinated by that. So I was always knew I want to be around things like that. So that probably is engineering. And growing up in India, you don't have a lot of options that you know of. So first of all, you have like either medical, arts, or engineering, or things like that. And I was more leaning towards engineering. Confusion of what branch and all that, but that comes in later in life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the problem that we face growing up is that we know that there are only two fields actually. Like most of us are given two options, medical science or engineering. And then when we choose engineering, we don't exactly know what the professional field looks like after you graduate, right? I mean, if you're a
Right.
software engineer, probably you write code, but you don't know exactly what that code does. And same for mechanical engineering. So how did you choose mechanical engineering? Like you said that you had some inclination of ripping apart parts when you were
Yeah.
back there. So what made you choose mechanical engineering as a field?
So that was being like tinkering with all the machineries, picking up parts and looking at the mechanism. That was something more interesting to me. So I was leaning towards mechanical, but at that age, one mindset that most of the Indian kids, parents, or anyone has is like, what is the future for me? How
Hmm.
do I succeed with this? How do I, what do I make my future or my career with this? So when I was growing up in, I think it was 2008 or 9, software was booming up. Like computer science and IT was like really booming, and that's where you get a lot of money. That was
Hmm.
the mindset. I mean, it's probably in true some cases, but it depends on how you make your career, how which path you take, how you grow into that. It's not just that you take this course, you take this branch, and you just make million. It's not like that. So, but a young kid like 16, 17 years old thinks like, okay, if I do computer engineering, I'm gonna make a lot of money. So I had that thought in my mind, and mechanical was my inclination, my true liking. So I also want to do that. So I was like kind of 60-40, more on mechanical, 40 on computer science, and that's purely based on uh, the money aspect of it, which is
Correct.
wrong. I realize it now, but back then I have that thought. But when we went for the admission, so for the autonomous colleges, we go to COEP, and there is like a big screen, and you see all the seats there. There are like 60 seats for mechanical in VJTI, there are 60 for computer science and COEP and all the autonomous colleges. So you see that, and it's kind of live. So I had like 185 in CET, so I had, I don't know, like 1,000 rank or some score, and you go in your serial number, like the score you get, the ranking you get, you go
Mhm.
on a stage, you pick a branch, pick a college, and you come down, and you see that the numbers are going down. So when it came to my turn, I had like maybe 10, 15 people ahead of me. So I had two options: mechanical engineering, VJTI, and other feasible option, if I want to do computer science, I have to go to SPIT and do IT there, or computer science there.
Mhm.
My dad was sitting next to me. He said, "We are in Dadar, and Vijay is like Dadar East. I live in Dadar West. If you're going just across the bridge, you can have motorcycle. You can use that. You can."
Oh, that was the incentive.
And that was not his intention, but like you can take motorcycle, but for SPIT is too long. You have to use a train. I'm like, okay, this feels better. Maybe I can use a motorcycle.
Yep, yep.
But that's how I ended up choosing that. But in all my liking was basically mechanical, and it proved a right decision right then and until now. And
Mhm.
I just love it. I mean, the whole journey from there until now was
Mhm.
great. But just that Those 10 minutes when I was deciding, that was very stressful. But
Wow.
in the by probably my dad's motivation or like a faith of leap of faith,
Mhm.
it went to be a right decision. And
At that age when you're deciding such a big thing, especially in our culture where there is not a lot of room to change your career mid of your journey, right?
yeah,
Typically when you get in and then that's where you graduate and that's how you build your career, but you decided to go to mechanical engineering and it turned out well because you had
yeah,
an inclination towards that
yeah,
intrinsically. So when you decided to do mechanical engineering, so most of my friends are mechanical engineers and they are the most fun loving party people I know, and like most of the trips are fun with mechanical engineers. So kudos to them. But at the same time, when it comes to careers in India, right, after you graduate, there are not a lot of options. At least based on the experiences that my friends have had in the mechanical engineering field, or there are challenges. So, what do you see as how does your education support in your undergrad to get into the industry first, and second, what are the challenges in the industry as soon as you graduate from your engineering background in India?
so like getting into the career, getting your first job in India versus here is a little bit different, and the challenges we face as an undergrad in India, and switching from college to career is kind of little bit is different from here to there. Uh, First of all, like in India, they most of the time they see your college. For me, the biggest advantage was that I was from VJTI.
Hmm.
So whenever people like industry goes to all these places, they go for like NITs, IITs, and VJTI. It literally makes no difference. I mean, I have worked with people more hardworking and more passionate about where I was working at Viraj, but they were working at half the salary, and also like they were the struggle a lot to get there. But
Hmm.
I mean, it's kind of it's not fair, to be honest, but that's how it is, and that's a struggle, and that's what you must have heard literally, that there are no jobs, and people are literally working after graduation like 4,000, 5,000 salary. I'm like, you're an engineer, and that's not what you deserve.
Exactly.
And even for me, it was not that easy, like okay, it's relatively easy because of a good college, but I was not so like hardworking towards grade when I got PhD. Like for me, from after my school, when I went to Mumbai, my motivation is to like get good grades and get a good college. That was like told to me, and I really understood that. Study hard, get good grades, and then get good college. I did that, and I got a good college. I'm like, okay, now I'm chilling out. So
Hmm.
from the moment I got admission in UGDI, for 4 years I just chilled out. I was 6 point someone. I always had a 6 pointer, uh,
Correct.
pointer system.
Yep.
So actually, sorry, there is another funny story when in the first semester. So I'm just
Mhm.
gonna go back and forth. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah.
But I was still like in that phase where I was studious, like very hardworking towards grade student from 12th standard. And when I went to VJTI first semester, I was still in that phase. Like I have to get good grades. I have to get good grades, so we get good job. Uh, we had the first midterm exam, and then it was a physics paper. It was really tough for me. Like the physics was really bad, and I got 2 out of 20. I'm like, shit, this is terrible. This is really embarrassing, and I cannot be. I'm much better than this. This is not what I should be getting. So I was walking sadly with my paper in the hand. I was walking around in the corridor, and there's another guy comes in front of me. His name is Gaurav Mehta, and he also like really smart guy. He got like 195 in CET, and he was like, "What? Stat क्यों इतना?" I'm like, "भाई 2 मिला बे. I'm really smart. I got two. Hey, रोता क्या? I got three. Eh? Okay,
Oh,
he's 195 in CET, and he got three. I'm 195, so I should get two. It's normal. From
oh,
math, okay, it's all chill.
man, that's funny. Yeah.
I don't look for the grades much, but that kind of hit me hard in the seventh semester, because there are like really fine like BPCL or like all the good companies with like a good career option. They only have like cutoff 8, 7.5, 8, 8.5.
Correct.
So for many of them are not even eligible. So yes, the grades are not everything that you know. Your knowledge is different than your grades, but grades are important. Being engineer in India, if you want to start your career, at least for the first job, you have to have the good grades. And we had like the subjects that we were taught in college were good. Like no, now I think about those. Like if I had put more effort, I mean, there are a lot of things you can learn from those.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Many times teacher don't teach you in a interesting way. They don't show you like how it is applied in the real life
Mm-hmm.
and how important it is or how interesting it is. So most of the time it feels boring, but if you can just power through it, you learn a lot, and that at some point it will kind of like flashback. Okay, this is that, and it kind of start making link when you start working. So that's the struggle in India. At least you have to get good grades. So once you have good grades, you can at least be eligible. If not that, then of course, like you have to start networking, find references, and I mean, in Marathi you call it vashila, but it's not a bad term. You
Mm-hmm.
have to start your network, like be active on LinkedIn, be friends with your seniors who are in already working in that field. So if you don't get to college placement, just try your network. Just be active, work on your soft skills so that you can shine in your interviews, if not in the grades. So it's kind of like a balance somewhere.
Mhm. I mean, that is such a fascinating journey, especially growing up in the environment that you were in VJTI, surrounded by top, smartest people, actually, in that area. In Mumbai, most of the people who want to get into top class universities, VJTI is one of the top options, right? After IIT. And then you described the journey about mechanical engineer, taking advantage of the academic systems to get into the industry. And it's not that, I mean, there are a few biases with respect to marks and the universities that come from, but at the same time it's a long journey, right? I mean, you have
Yeah,
to build a career
it's
over a
only the
long.
struggle for the first one. You have to crack the first one. Once you are in the industry, you kind of like make your way up. But it's a struggle when you first switch from your school to the career. And
Mhm.
that's the tough nut to crack. But once you are in, you're in.
Makes sense, makes sense. Another struggle that mechanical engineers go through is not a lot of girls in their branch. Any comments on that?
Um, yes, it is like a world known fact. It's valid. No matter if you're in US, you're in India, you're in Mumbai, you're in Pune, it's kind of common.
Hmm.
Ratio changes here and there. Like for me, out of 70 people, 17 girls, rest of them are boys. But after I graduated, I met like a lot of people from NIT who were in like Viraj Forgings or Viraj Profiles. They had like one or two. I'm like, okay, I had better situation, I guess. Very common, and it is what it is. I think things are changing now because I have seen more women getting into mechanical now. More as in still not balanced.
Hmm.
Maybe instead of 10 90, it is now 20 80 or 30 70. It is still like a male dominant field, and but things are picking up. So I have good hopes for future generation. So don't make this your decision factor when you're choosing engineering. For me,
Absolutely.
like, for other people might be girls, but you have different sources. Your college is not defined, so
Correct, correct.
it's
Diversify your assets, like invest in different resources. Go to your classes or something like that, and find some opportunities.
gym, you know.
Gym is another one. So yeah, I mean, that's how it is with mechanical engineering. So with respect to the ratio of females getting into the industry and the male industry, dominated industry, that is mechanical, what message would you give to women? How would you persuade them to get into mechanical engineering, and why should they do that?
I mean, the question that you describe is kind of like a really good motivation. I mean, if you like anything about mechanical engineering, and if you feel this is a male dominant field, being you in that field makes it less male dominant.
Hmm.
So if you're a woman, if you really like this, get into it. Like, don't be afraid of male dominant. And it is not just college. Even in the industry, like where I work, I see more. It's a male dominant, more guys than girls.
Hmm.
But just you know being one extra girl there is gonna make it one ratio more towards women. So
Correct.
be out there, get into the field and be dominant. Don't be
Mm,
shy. Don't be afraid. Be dominant. And I have seen a lot of managers, especially the ones which are like women. Um, they are strict. People scared of them. So I think dominance is kind of like the cover for them, or just that's the way to move forward. Because unless you are loud, dominant, and clear with your facts, people don't listen. And
mm,
there is a bias. I mean,
mhm.
it is what it is. You have to work on it and just change it one lady at a time.
Yep, yep. That's a wonderful message. So all the female audience who are actually thinking of taking up mechanical engineering or having an idea of or some inclination towards mechanical engineering, don't feel afraid. Go
Hmm.
with it. And you have to prove out as an exceptional example for other women to enter the field. And there's nothing, I think, with respect to gender that will define whether you will be successful or not. Any gender can get in and make it big in the mechanical engineering field.
Yeah.
So, Anish, with respect to mechanical engineering, let's talk something about that. So, what is it that mechanical engineering has? What does a mechanical engineering engineer do? And what is the different fields like production, industrial, and different avenues that getting into mechanical engineering can open up for you?
So, I mean, there are many different field you can go through when you start working as a mechanical engineer. I mean, you can, like I said, it can be in designing, you can be in like a quality, you can be in product integration or industrialization, or even you can be like just developing software, like the finite element method. That is kind of like a computational part of it. It is also a branch of mechanical. So, and that is another thing. It used to be like a male dominant because people used to think it's just work in factories, it's like a blue collar job. But now there is a huge aspect of like a computational methods for a mechanical side. So there is also a branch you can take. And for me, it was more leaning towards like automotive side of it. And that takes me back to my experience in like working as a member of so SAE collegiate club. SAE stands for Society of Automotive Engineer, and they
Hmm.
had. So, I mean, you must have seen people working on this. So
Yep.
that's what I did in junior college. I mean, sorry, my bachelor's undergrad.
Hmm.
And from there, my inclination was toward automotive industry. But even in the automotive industry itself, like you are just working on a design, or you're kind of like managing a program, you're kind of like integrating that design into a factory. Um, so these are different branches. I mean, I'm speaking more of what I know,
Hmm.
but the options are limitless.
Interesting. That's very fascinating. And for someone who is outside the industry, they don't have such insight. So thank you for sharing that with us. So when you talk about getting a part out for say a vehicle, right? You're
Hmm.
into automotive. So for example, there is some part in a car that needs to be manufactured. Can you walk us through a process that a mechanical engineer can go through, or just someone who is out on the street doesn't know enough about the industry? Can you walk us through what steps does it go through from design phase to production with respect to that particular part?
Yeah, I mean, I can describe like small steps, I mean, just for everyone to understand. But it's kind of like taking it's a multiple years process. It's
Hmm.
in at least in automotive industry, you start from like a basic design, how it should look like. That's the cosmetic part of it. And mostly for the car, like OEMs are the original equipment manufacturers. So like the car companies, like for say BMW, they
Hmm.
have kind of how the car should look like. And in the car, for example, everyone is working on different parts. So there are so many different components coming together. So for example, someone is just working on a headlight or spoiler. So that engineer has a vision how it should look like on a car. So he is just doing a visual aspect of it, like just drafting. And then they give that to a supplier. And supplier are mostly developing that whole concept. So you take the outer design of it, you design how it should be manufactured, how it should be attached on a body, how it should have like the ribs and connectors, or you know. So that's kind of skeleton of it. So from there, it goes to designing of the at the supplier. They try to make it like structurally strong, so it is kind of like functioning well throughout the life cycle of the part. It is easy to assemble, So that also that there's also kind of a factor taken in mind, and then it is also easier to service. So these are the aspects that a supplier is considering during the design phase. Once the design is made, then it comes how to produce it. So, for example, it's a plastic part, a design in CAD is made. You kind of develop a tooling around it. So there is a different phase of like a tool development. Once that is done, then it goes into kind of like industrialization. You have the tool, you kind of run it and see how the part is coming out, and then you try to make it like optimize it, and it you're always thinking how it is done in daily production. You're not making just prototype. You're not making 10 parts. You're making like hundreds and thousands of parts weekly. So it should work at that speed. So then, once that development part is done, then it comes to the industry. Like the tool is coming to the industry, then you kind of get the equipment that you need to the industry. And now there is an industrial engineer coming in picture along with the design and development engineer. You give all the design to the industrial engineer, tell him that this is my assembly, this is my assembly flow. Now he makes the kind of machinery and the process flow around it. Now the process flow is there. You start producing those parts. Then you kind of then HR comes in picture. You put people there. You put do the training because engineers know how the part coming out in and out. But it should be easier for the people assembling on the line. So
Hmm.
now the thing that started on the piece of paper, it is coming live, and this process overall is kind of like it takes 2 3 years. And now this is just one part of a whole car. I'm just talking about let's say spoiler. And
Wow.
every other supplier is kind of working in parallel. They have different process, different technology. It goes from the design, testing, and development phase all the way to like going live, in full production. And you're also like kind of ramping up. You at first you do like 10 parts, then 100, and then like a SOP, which is like a start of production at that level. So it's a journey like throughout, and it's not just one design engine. Like for the entire car, there are so many subcomponents. Every subcomponent has a team of designer, team of assembly, quality engineers, and that kind of like is the integration. So also that's another job for mechanical engineer is the integration, is the program manager, program steerer, who
Hmm.
has a bit of knowledge of everything, and he kind of put all these things together, keeping the timeline in mind and achieving those milestones. So I mean, all these different roles I explained, they are mechanical engineer at a different interest or different topic, but they're all mechanical engineer to begin with.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for walking it through. So, such a detailed example of how a part is manufactured, and let alone a whole car, which is having parts from different manufacturers coming together all in one piece. And we don't even think about it when we are driving one on the street, right? It's an amazing mechanical marvel, I mean, engineering marvel in general. And recently, I just started following F1, and I can see how critical engineers are, especially designing out, taking out 1 millisecond, 2 milliseconds.
It's a very much level apart. I mean,
Yeah.
we still face so many challenges just in our day-to-day life.
Hmm.
Uh, like as a supplier or like OEM. But F1, they have like every split second counts. Uh,
Correct.
it's a crazy level.
It's a crazy level of engineering, absolutely. So, when it comes to your engineering, you did your engineering, you liked the field, you started working in India at Viraj Profiles, and then you decided to do masters. So, was masters always your plan, or did you decide to do higher education after your experience back in India?
It is kind of both. So I always had a plan. So I did my GRE and like TOEFL back in second third year of engineering, but it was just kind of like letting a little procrastinated because now I have a job, I can work here, get experience, and probably my experience also counts. So I was just in a parallel process. But when I started working, in a forging industry, it was interesting. Of course, it's a different side of mechanical engineering, but I realized, okay, I'm more interested in automotive. So this is not what I want to be. I want to do automotive engineering. So probably it's really there was also a good motivation for me to pursue masters in mechanical, taking automotive courses as a specialization. So I always had a plan, but working at Viraj Profile, First of all, it was not as per my liking. I had a good experience along with that area, the different industry, and that was definitely like a blue collar job. It was really hardcore. Straight from college, you're working 12 hours every day and working around the furnace. So your my day off was also not on the weekend. So I used to get day off on Monday. So like my friends are doing something else, and I'm still like just next to the furnace doing some maintenance, and it was a crazy 11 months. Definitely learned a lot there. It was challenging, but it also kind of give me some motivation that okay, now is the really time to focus on masters. Uh, you always want to do this, and now if you want to go ahead with automotive, you have to start focusing on that. So that also pushed me a little bit.
Oh, that's really interesting. And then, I mean, with your experience, you decided to do masters, and you wanted to do it in automotive, right? And you might have applied to a lot of different universities, and then you decided to do your masters in UNC Charlotte. Why was that?
So, like when you're applying for the masters, like I mean, you must have even with a different field, you must have gone through the same process. It's as a kid growing up in India, you always look for ranking. So there was this page called usnews.com, and you always look for college ranking. So you always look for like top 100, top 50 colleges. But for me, as a automotive engineering, like my master's is still mechanical, but I have more focused courses in automotive. But there are not many colleges who offers that. So
Mhm.
out of 12 universities which I applied for, I only had three of them which offers automotive engineering courses. Um, one was in Michigan, which I did not prefer. Other two were Clemson, which is also in South Carolina, and the second was UNC Charlotte in North Carolina. I did not get acceptance from Clemson. The other option was UNCC, apart from anything else. So I picked that, and they had good courses and really good professor. But when I was when I was choosing, like my preference was like either Clemson because it had better ranking and all that. But UNCC was like far beyond Clemson. But when I realized ranking is just a number, and you have to see what courses you like. So the courses which I like were there. The professor which I worked with were excellent. Like they had good funding and they had good knowledge. So the one thing I would really like to tell students, like who is applying for masters, just don't go with with the ranking. Always look for what location it is. Like for example, Clemson is in South Carolina, UNCC in North Carolina. So that area has a lot of industry. There is Mercedes, there is Volvo, there is BMW. So if you are in that area, you are bound to get. I mean, you have more chances of getting into like internship or college. So think about that. Think about the fees. That is a big factor. We don't consider when we start applying, but when the college send acceptance and parents get billed, they kind of like realize, oh shit, this is not a good thing. So
Correct.
think about the investment you're gonna do. Think about all the courses they offer. Not every college has all the courses.
Mhm.
Every college has different professor, different research options, and different courses. So look at that and see if you like that. Not just if it is rank 10, rank 5, or rank 100. See what you like really, and then go for that. So my focus was automotive engineering, and that's what I got from UNC Charlotte.
Well, that's really nice, and especially with Charlotte being the home of NASCAR, it
Yeah.
must have been a good opportunity to work alongside projects that are close to NASCAR or probably is funded by NASCAR or some way. That might have helped you as well in your engineering as a master student. So when you did your masters, right? What
Yeah.
was the change in the academic process where, as compared to back in India? Because in India there is a lot of theoretical in normal colleges,
Yeah.
and in US there is more of a practical exposure. So did you see that difference when you came to US?
Yeah, I mean I definitely see that difference because in India it's more of like you have big books, you have to learn everything, like you have to know all the formulas, you have to know everything by heart. But here you even have like open book exams. Like you can take your textbook, you can take everything with you, and then give the exams. And believe me, even those are not easy because here they focus more on the concept. Like you should understand what you're learning. It's not just about like knowing every word in that book. you should understand the concept, and that's what I felt more the more focused being focused here as compared to India. And I like that. And you get more practical knowledge. You have a lot of faculty which you can rely on. You can ask questions. You have like office hours. You can go to them, and they will be enthusiastic to teach you. You don't see. I mean, I didn't get the similar experience. I mean, of course, other might have different experience, but I didn't get the similar experience back in India. Like even like I said, I was working as a in a team for SAE Baha, which is like a like ATV building competition. Um, and here, if I'm doing the same thing, faculty will be there guiding you and supporting you. But at some point back in India, also I got like some pushback from some faculties, like why are you wasting time on this? Like you are not focusing on your courses or studies. You're putting most of your time in auto lab. um, you don't see much here. Like you have more support from the lab. You have more support from the faculty, um, and that was my experience. And also they put more effort on learning and concepts than just like learning something by heart, like just learning words.
And I mean, coming from Indian setting, the one of the mistakes that I saw a lot of students do is focusing on grades, as because they are programmed in that way that good grades will get us into good companies. Do you see that in mechanical engineering in your master's program as well, or do you think concepts are much more prioritized over the grades that you get?
So it's kind of like also like a gray area a little bit. So there are some companies who would look like, for example, let's say Tesla or Apple. If they look for mechanical engineer, they have like really vast process of going through, and they have really hard screening, and they go a lot of. I mean, I had also interview with Tesla at one point, and they go with a lot of technical or theoretical knowledge of random subject. But what I have seen most of my career is like they focus on your experience. They focus on your past experience, something which is relevant to the job. And if you have that, if you have something similar experience, and you are willing to learn, and you have like the soft skills that they're looking for, you should be good. Grades are still important. I mean, of course, not just the India mindset. Being on a F1 visa, you need to have like not like 4.0, but at least you cannot get like two C's or three, something like that.
Correct,
If
correct.
you have, like, if you go to India, if you get two C or three C, something like that, you also go to India. Your visa is your status is not valid, something like that. So you have to at least maintain your status for sure. And after that, it's just like focus more on learning, like understand the topics. It's not just about grades. I mean, at least I did not have anyone asking me my grades, but at least they look at all the subject, they look at my experience, and their questions were kind of catered towards the job I would be doing, or my previous experience,
Mhm.
not how much I got in what grades and all that.
And there is another aspect of coursework, which is about finding your master's through thesis. There is a project option, and there is also a PhD option, or I mean, exploring through research and publishing research papers. For software engineering, is not that prominent to get into thesis, but mostly mechanical engineering, it might be different. So, talk us through some of your experience about that.
So for me, like whatever I remember from my masters is basically what I did in like auto lab with my advisor. I mean, I took the thesis option. So for mechanical, you have like either project or thesis, or I think you can also do like a complete coursework and exit exam. But what I felt is like as a master's doing in US, coming from like undergrad in India, I felt like I have opportunity to work something on thesis, like something outside my course. I mean, just outside my just coursework, and I can be part of this research. I can be, like it's a vast field. Um, so I would say take that opportunity. I mean, of course, there is no right and wrong way. You can go either route, and you can still be in the same position in a career. But this is the only chance when you can be on the research side of it, and you can do something unique, something that you created, and you can be really proud of it. I think I had most of my proudest moment during my undergrad. Like I could do something new. Also, like I told you, like I went to Michigan. I presented my paper. That was a part, like a byproduct of working on a thesis, working with the graduate advisor. So that will be a really good experience overall, being part of research, and you have opportunity as doing this, doing a master. So I would say take it.
Interesting. That's interesting. And apart from the academic aspect of being a master's student, there is another aspect of managing your life beyond the academic life, right? And managing your habits, managing your lifestyle. How did you manage that? What were the challenges you faced as a immigrant student in US?
It's a little bit of a, I mean, cultural shock, right? Because what you see in movies is not just one to one. First thing I had a shock, as in, like, when I was always watching like Hollywood movies, I always think US is like cold, is a cold place. You come here and it's like always freezing, so you get sweaters and all that. I came here in August. It was burning hot. It was like 100 degrees, I mean 35 degrees Celsius.
Yep.
So that was one of the cultural shock for me. And then, as you start cooking, like, as growing up in Indian household, you never went to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So that was something I had to learn from like YouTube and experience. Like, I did really bad recipes and then kind of did corrections. So that, and just you have to do everything yourself. Like, you can't really afford to have like dabawala or maid, or you do
Hmm.
everything by yourself. So you kind of like learn household things, just like cooking, cleaning, and tidying up after yourself, and uh, grocery shopping, everything. Just whatever your parents do. If you're still in college, whatever your parents do, you're doing that. Plus whatever you're doing now, which is studying. So you're doing everything together.
Correct.
And I would say it's like very much challenge. It was fun. I mean, I had good roommates, and of course, all the people from
Yeah.
UNC. Just it's a good group. It is a good learning experience overall. So I enjoy that process. Nothing to complain. It's a
Absolutely.
part of the whole package.
Yep, and I think that experience helps you grow as well. I mean, when I was back in India, I felt like I didn't have enough time because I was going to the college, and then I was to come back and do whatever the homework, whatever the work that was allotted. But at the same time, when I was here, like the whole thing, like you said, things that are taken care by your family or things that are automatically taken care of, you have to manage everything along with bills and other things and managing finances and all those aspects, and that helps you grow as an individual, though it is challenging, but it is a rewarding journey in the long run. So yeah, that's really fascinating. Yep.
It makes you a full human being. You're a full functional human being. You're not
Absolutely.
just learning. You're not just doing college. You're kind of like working towards how you can survive, like, as an independent human being. So
Hmm.
you go back to India, like, you don't. I mean, a lot of facilities that you get offered, like, there is someone filling up gas for you. There is someone like cleaning up after you. It's just, there is everyone. There is always a guy helping you with everything. But
Correct.
you just get independent, more and more independent. Yeah, I like that part.
Absolutely, absolutely. At the end of your master's journey, there is a big, big phase of finding a job within a deadline of
Yeah,
what, 90 days or something like that.
yeah,
And that's a challenging thing, especially for mechanical engineering, because I feel like if you apply 100 jobs as a software engineer, you would get probably 20 or 30 calls. At the
yeah,
same time, if you apply the same number of jobs as a mechanical engineer, you'll probably get five or
yeah.
six or something like that. So how did you manage that? And there is another aspect of, having security clearance for mechanical engineers. Most of the jobs require that. So how did you manage that challenge as an engineer?
So it's definitely a challenge, especially for like a person on visa. So as a mechanical engineer, of course, the jobs in are limited. I won't say limited, but it's like more focused on in Detroit and like up north. So all of my friends from mechanical, they kind of like moved to like Michigan, Ohio, in that state. Like my roommate, you probably know Harsh Patel.
Hmm.
Uh, Me and him, like, we had mostly all similar subjects, similar interests, thesis, like same advisor, same professor working under. He got a job in Michigan. Um, but then I was the only one left after that, like, looking around a job. And that's kind of like the most difficult part. Like, you are working with 10 people, and
Hmm.
everybody's like, nobody has job. Like, okay, nobody has job, but we're in the same boat. We are going in the same boat. We're going right direction. But then 9 people get jobs, and you're only one in that boat. I'm like, shit, this just got serious. So yeah, when he got job and I was the only one left, and then, like, shit. For mechanical, there are not many people to compare, just like me and him. So when he went, I was more. like worried, and just keep applying every day. And for most of the time, like if you specify that you need visa sponsorship, you automatically get like rejection. Like there is, within 5 minutes you get rejection. So as a visa student, you are kind of like in just 20% of the overall uh, market. But then you just have to apply. I mean, if it is 20%, just apply 100 per, like, apply 100 jobs, then you at least have 20 for 20. Then next day apply 100 more. So just keep applying, and then networking. I mean, here it is more of a networking, working on your soft skill, like how you convey yourself in the interview, how you have like a lot of networks from LinkedIn and college and here and there. Everywhere you go, like career fair, it is not like India. Like in India, you have companies coming to you. There is a campus placement. Here there is no campus placement. Companies come to the campus, but they don't do like interviews. It's just like they kind of do, they are doing their networking. They are kind of making publicity for themselves. So you have to get their contact, reach out to them, and you have to kind of stand out. So you have to make conversation that the person over there remembers. So take their business card, make some conversation, tell them what you do, and then don't just go on like selling yourself like I want job, I want job. Show interest, show that you're looking for something, like greater good, not just you making this for like just a career, just to get your first paycheck. You are interested in what they build. So first going to the career fair, keep in mind who is coming in there. There is a list, of course. So learn about their experiences, learn about the person who is going to be there. Go to LinkedIn, find out what they do, and try to form your sentence based on that. Try to form your conversation based on that. Most of them know. I mean, this is not like rocket science. All the
Correct.
HR, all the recruiter know, but it's again how you convey it, how you make them believe. And for me, what worked is it's a different experience. I was doing all this just hope of getting job, but few months back, like I was working with my graduate advisor, Dr. Peter Tasik, and he I worked on a research paper. So I was like a co-author on the paper that he was writing. And he said like, you're a co-author, you should be presenting this. So and even Harsh had the same thing. So me and Harsh both went to Michigan with Dr. Tasik. We presented our paper over there, and we just like hanging out, just looking at all the companies that are there, their technology and all that. And in one corner there was this career fair. So I was just walk
In
around like,
Michigan, which is not your university.
yeah, in Michigan, and
Yeah.
that was actually like 3 or 4 months back before I graduated. So I
Oh,
just met so many people, and there was this one lady, um, Kathy Buckley. She was the HR for Bertrand, and
oh,
I had no scope. Back then, I was just like walking around, just meeting people because I was done with my presentation. I had like extra few hours, so I met all these people, took all their business card, gave them my resume, and Kathy was particularly interested. She asked me like, "What are you doing here? Why are you here?" So I told him like I did this, like I wrote this research paper with my team, and we are presenting here. So I was like a author at the SAE World Congress. She was like, oh, she was impressed, and I probably said the same thing to 100 other people, and I don't even remember this. So after like 3 or 4 months, I got a call from her while I'm doing all the application, and that was like out of out of the blue. Like, I mean, I wasn't expecting that, and she asked me like, "Do you remember?" And honestly, I didn't remember, but she remembered, and that's the important message here. Like, you have to make a conversation, or you have to do something that people remember, and unless they remember, they're not gonna. I mean, they get like 100 resumes every day, and everybody has really good qualification. I mean, if you're coming all the way from India to here, you want to have good grades, you want to have good qualification. You have to do something that you stand out and people remember you, and do the networking and improve, like work on your soft skills. So
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that wonderful journey. And that's how things connect, right? I mean, you have to keep swimming, if the tide is with you or without you, and then you eventually find a way. And that's the only way to get across right now
yeah,
with immigrants coming here as an international student. And especially with this mechanical engineering, there are limited number of jobs, and still you need to do the same thing, but you need to persevere, and you will eventually get there. So when you got into the industry here in US, you had a past experience in India. How was your experience getting into the industry here? What are the things that you learned? in your first job here?
I mean, my past experience was much different than what I was doing here. I mean, industry is different, first of all,
Correct.
and
Yeah,
also the culture is different. Like, your work, I mean, first of all, industry, like a core mechanical industry in India, like in some remote village versus working at a BMW manufacturing plant, which is the world's biggest plant for BMW. The culture is different and the technology I see is different. I mean, like how the car is being produced, and all the aspect that they use for assembly people, like the ergonomic aspect and the ease of technology that they have. It's much different. I mean, in India, I was struggling a lot just to get like normal tools, and here they have like you ask for one thing, you get five. So the resources are a lot. The technology is much advanced. I mean, this is just based on what I was working in India versus here, not
absolutely.
overall. I mean,
Yeah,
people have different experiences. Just for my industry versus here, there was a huge difference. People were more approachable. Like there was no hierarchy. I mean, of course there's a hierarchy, but you don't feel that much. I mean, my boss or my like boss's boss sitting in the same level, and you can talk to him, you can go to him and just approach easily. But back in India, it was more like, I don't even talk to my boss's boss. I just talk to my subordinate, and they're also like, I call him like, you're 2 years older than me. You started working 2 years earlier than me. I call you sir, or G, and so
yeah, yeah.
that was a cultural difference. But and overall support was much better here in the working at BMW. But that also changes industry to industry, even here. Like
Mhm.
I started working at the OEM, and that is like the most lavish journey place you can work at. They
Mhm.
have great budget, they have a lot of space, a lot of technology, a lot of people. So you can do a lot of things. But when I switch from Bertrand or BMW to a supplier, the Mingwa, their resources are very limited. Their budget is limited, and their challenges are much vast as compared to OEM.
Correct.
Like working at OEM, you have like more like a safety net. But working at a supplier, you're working at like every hour you have deadlines.
Yeah.
OEM is like always banking on you or pushing you or yelling at you. So I saw the two different things working in just in US, but working at supplier versus working at the OEM.
That's such a wonderful insight for an outsider, and it's fascinating as well. Now I'm more curious about mechanical engineering than earlier when I started this call. So thank you for sharing that. And then, with respect to where the industry is going right now with mechanical engineering, there is a whole new tide of electrical vehicles hitting the streets. There is also another thing called as automation with, I mean, AI is taking over and other things, and there
Yeah.
is robotics as well. People from the outside look at it as there are going to be less number of engineers required in the industry to make the same amount of service that is required, and that's a, they look at it from a threat kind of a perspective. What is your take on it, being an insider, being in the industry for so long? How do you see that impacting your industry?
Well, the trend is definitely changing, but it's not like less engineers required. It's just where are those engineers required? Like for example, I see engineers kind of getting obsolete. Absolutely, it is still going to be take many years or maybe decades just to wipe it off completely. But now the people developing electrical vehicles, those are also engineers, and there are a lot of mechanical engineers. It just changes. The trend is changing from IC engine versus electrical vehicle. And with that being said, you're kind of like change the whole production of the car manufacturer. So now you're making electrical vehicles on the same line as you're making IC engine, like in conventional vehicle. So you have more integration of those products. You have more industrialization. Different components are coming in. Different technologies coming in. Different parts are required. So now you have batteries. Now the battery recycling is coming in. So those industries need to be developed. So every new technology kind of gives rise to a different technology, and different technology gives rise to a different engineer. You
Correct.
always have problems in the world, and when you have problem, you have engineers in the world. So I mean, don't be afraid of that. Just kind of plan yourself, or like see what is coming in, which is of course electrical vehicles, and sustainable sources of energies, um, non-conventional mode of transport. So look at that and try to learn that, but don't be afraid that jobs are getting lost. Of course, AI is coming in, but you don't put AI and just let go. Like you, even if you ask answer to ChatGPT, it gives you a really nice email. I mean, I do a lot. I mean, it's a really good technology. You have to use it. So I do a lot. I use ChatGPT, ask for email, but I cannot never send it as it is. You have to always proofread. You have to understand because things that you know from the experience and what exactly that situation needs, ChatGPT doesn't know exactly. I mean, ChatGPT is as smart, the answer is as good as the input you're giving in. So you have to always proofread what is coming out of it. So I'm not afraid of jobs. It's just that you have to be updated with the technology. In this case, of course, electrical and more sustainable ways of transport.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, thank you for sharing that insight. Especially the defining factor that you said about human intervention and the insight that their experience brings in is going to be there for a long time. And at the same time, with your expertise, you have to evolve as well. I mean, as an
Yeah,
engineer, you can just sit on your knowledge that you have gained so far and just be there, right? You have to think ahead and be ahead of the curve and at least try to chase that and be there when
yeah.
that happens. So another thing about being an immigrant and being an international student is managing your visa issues. How challenging was it for you, and how did you navigate that as an international student?
I mean, the visa situation is there with every person. Like coming from India, you always have to face that, the stamping, applying for H1B, and then renovation. But I always had this in mind, like there is absolutely nothing I can do. I have to always approach my employer, submit my documents, and request them to do it. And once they start doing it, you're done.
Hmm.
People, I mean, I've seen a lot of people just like stressing out, crying about it, but in the end, you have done everything you could, like from the education point of view or at your work, you have done the best you can do. But in the visa, it's a lottery, and the situation is not in your hands. So don't stress about it. Like approach your employer earlier. Don't be shy. And just if that is not working out in the first year, look for a different employer who can support on that, because that is you require that. I mean, I think you have like 3 years when you start before relocation. You have to get your visa, so always be on hunt to find right employer. But once you find right employer, you apply for it, and you're done. You don't after that just don't stress so much. I mean, you have a lot of tensions in your life. Don't make this a nightmare.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that is so important because people tend to associate themselves as, they are important because they are in US or any geographic location for that matter. But that, I mean, like you said, if you did your best in your education system, you did your best as a employee, there is nothing else you can do, and you do your
Yeah,
best.
there's no other option. I mean, US is not the final destination. I mean, I've seen people like, for me it worked out. I got H1B. My company is also doing my green card and all that. But if not, I mean, people are doing like applying for Canada, applying for Australia. A lot of people are going to Germany now. Like for mechanical engineer, Germany has really good courses, and now they're also offering a lot of courses in English. Previously, it was always German. It's still most of the cases it is still, but it's another language you can learn. And so there are a lot of options. I mean, you are on a global level. Just don't limit yourself to India and US. Just be beyond that. I mean, if you can be here with visa with your luck, good. If not, find something else. It's always always the second option.
Now, beyond work and beyond your academic life, there is another Anish that likes to travel, who does road trips, goes out and does like backpacking trips across US and other places. How is that? Like, how has traveling been always your passion, and how do you enjoy doing that in different places?
It's always been my passion. Like right from back in India, I always wanted to travel a lot, but of course your permissions are limited and your budget is limited. So your scope is really so. For me, when I was in VJTI, we only went to like Matheran, Mahabaleshwar, or like just go to Alibag and take them all up to my house in Alibag.
Correct.
So those were kind of like just small trips we did. But after coming here, like I manage my own funds. I manage my own decisions. So ever since I got here, I've been traveling every long weekend, every chance I get. And also, I think it depends a lot on your company as well. I had good friends in college who really wanted to travel as well. So we
Mhm.
did a lot of road trips back then. And like my love for road trips kind of shoot up during COVID. So I was switching job in 2020, and then I thought since I'm switching job, it's a good opportunity to take like a longer vacation. So I just plan to take like 2 weeks off. I mean, 2 weeks without job before I start another job like joining. And it was COVID, so we didn't want to fly anywhere.
Mhm.
It was me, my wife Diksha, and other friend Aniket. Aniket Marathi, probably you know
Yeah.
him as well.
Yeah.
So three of us, we like to travel, go to national parks. So we rented a minivan, like Dodge Caravan. We flattened all the seats in the back. We put like a foam mattress in there. We had a cooler in there. We had like a stove. We had like all the beer packs that we need. So that van was all inclusive. We didn't like step out to a restaurant, to a hotel or anywhere. So we just started from Atlanta in that van. We roam across. We went all the way to Glacier National Park, South Dakota, and many other national parks in a way, without making much like public content because like still COVID, people are afraid. Like at least back home they were afraid of what are you doing. And that's when I realized like doing road trips is so convenient, much economical, and you can see so many options. And your plans, I mean, my plans were like flexible. Like I'm not having any hotel booking. I can go wherever I want. I can go whenever I want. So that kind of like shoot up my love for road trips. And ever since we did like at least four cross country road trips. And yeah, for us, that's the way to go. Love it.
Amazing, amazing. That's so inspiring. I did a road trip back in Montana. Like I went to Glacier. It's an amazing
Yeah,
place
I
to,
love it.
and it's beautiful, beautiful. Those views are amazing. So, with respect to your traveling, right? What would your destinations be for people who like traveling? What would you recommend? Definitely must go places in US.
So, I mean, when you first come to US, you go to like obvious like landmarks, like you go to New York, you go to Niagara, you go to like Chicago. So, okay, I mean, you have this thing in mind, do that. You go to all the big cities, enjoy the life, and I mean, enjoy those wonders that you see in like KC tour itinerary and all that. But US is a huge land. It's so different. Like traveling from east to west, it changes a lot. So enjoy the natural beauty of it, like the national park, like you said, glacier. There are so many things in like Hawaii. It's a different. It looks like a different island. I mean, different place altogether. There is Everglades, which is like a swamp, national park in a swamp. There's Yosemite or Yellowstone. So all these things, if you go to those places, feels like you're in a different country, different geographical location, but it's all part of US. And since you're already here, you have that visa, make the best of it. Like you know, go beyond those top 10 like tourist. I won't say tourist traps. There are good places as well,
Mhm.
but don't limit yourself to top 10 known location. Go to all this natural beauty that US has and explore that. Only one kind of like bad thing about US is they're not very connected with the public transport. So it's
Mhm.
all like the road trips are the way to go. Like rent a car, travel around. So and everything is far, so you have to travel a lot. But
Absolutely.
if you like it, I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter. Price don't matter.
Thank you so much for describing the whole perspective on traveling here. So, coming back to your journey, right? You're married. That's a big responsibility. How's it being with Diksha, and how's life being married and being in US?
It's just amazing. It's been almost 5 years now. I mean 4.5, but getting to the 5 years milestone. Um, yeah, a lot of people say it's like a big responsibility. It's a lot of changes, but for me, it's been really easy. It's fairly easy, and I think that's what makes it amazing. Like the 5 years, it feels like I just met her yesterday. It's
Wow.
easy, and all this. I mean, the travel I do, like all the adventures I do. I mean, she's right there doing the same thing with me. So
Mhm.
I mean, we kind of connect on those like adventures outside home, and also like ideology is kind of similar. So we have similar interest, or as a married couple, you kind of like grew into each other's interest.
Mhm.
So that's been going on for last 5 years, and for me it was easy going. So I didn't feel the burden or the responsibility or any all those heavy words that everyone used. It feels like I just have a roommate.
That's really nice. I mean, that's the ideal situation to have a roommate that you live along and it just feels like it's yesterday. So, congratulations on that. At the same time, she has a really interesting Instagram channel as well, Wish Palette by Diksha. Do check it out for her creative work on Instagram. I'll add the description in the link below.
Yeah,
And that's it. I mean, thank you so much for sharing your amazing journey right from the start from Alibag to where you are right now, and you're going a long way ahead.
right.
Apart from that, any message that you want to give to students who are watching this podcast, and anything you would like to share for them to take a lesson out of the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for organizing this, because I mean it's my journey, but it's also likes to hear again, like starting from Alibag until now, like all the places I've been to, all the things I have done or been part of. It's a good experience overall. I mean, I enjoyed this. But for the people who are watching, I mean, there are challenges. I mean, in India or here, the job in here, career, there are challenges everywhere. But those 2 years that you get in college, those are like the memories that I mean, I still, when I talk to talk to you, talk to anyone from my UNC started group, we always talk about all the fun things that we did, all the challenges, all the experiences, all the crazy things that we did. So those 2 years are really important. I mean, don't miss that. Like, have fun, whatever you do. Focus on your career, focus on the job, but in the end, like, life is to have fun. Don't forget that.
Absolutely. That's such a wonderful message. Thank you so much, Anish, for staying with us, being generous with your time. If you guys like this journey, do let us know down in our comment section. And also, if you want to reach out to Anish for any advice with respect to being an immigrant or just being a mechanical engineer, he's doing a wonderful job at BMW. So do reach out to him on LinkedIn. I'll add his LinkedIn address right in the description. And if you guys have any resume that you guys want to review or just
Yeah,
any
for sure.
just
We
follow
can.
on the Indian perspective, and we'll also get you connected to Anish on that. So thank you so much, Anish. That's it from our side, and we'll continue our journey with next podcast coming soon in the next weeks. So stay tuned, and that's it from our side. Thank you.
Thank you.